For years, the truth stayed hidden, the victims forgotten, the cases left cold, until science revealed what time could not. This is decades in the dark, where cold cases are brought back to light. It was the summer of 1989 in central Pennsylvania, a place of quiet streets, old churches, and neighbors who all seemed to know one another. Yet beneath the surface of this small town, secrets were festering. And when 30-year-old Barbara Miller disappeared, those secrets began to rise to the surface. Barbara was outspoken, loyal, and quick to laugh, but also carrying burdens she rarely shared. She had been working with law enforcement as a confidential informant, providing information about local drug trafficking. It was dangerous work. 2 weeks before she vanished, Barbara told investigators she'd received threatening letters warning her to stop talking to police. The letters accused her of being a narcotics informant and promised that if she didn't stop, she'd end up dead. At home, her personal life was equally complicated. Barbara was dating a former Sunbury police detective named Joseph Mike Egan, a man who once served on the very force she now assisted. To friends, the relationship looked tense and controlling. Barbara had told several people she was afraid of him, even saying once that if she ever turned up dead, he would be responsible. According to Barbara's 14-year-old son, on June 30th, 1989, the night before she disappeared, Barbara and Egan had a heated argument. The fight was over her plans to attend a friend's wedding without him. It wasn't the first time they'd fought, but this. It would be the last time her son ever saw her. The next day, Barbara followed through with her plans. She attended the wedding rehearsal in Milton, Pennsylvania, bringing along clothes for the ceremony and a wrapped gift. She seemed in good spirits, chatting and laughing with friends. Afterward, she told them she was going home to change clothes and would meet them later at a local bar. That was the last confirmed time anyone saw her alive. Witnesses remember her at the bar briefly that evening. Then, she was gone. When Barbara failed to show up for the wedding the next morning, her friends knew something was wrong. It wasn't until July 5th that Mike Egan reported her missing. In his statement to police, he claimed Barbara had gotten into a car with 2 unidentified men that night and never returned. But no one else ever verified that story. No witnesses ever came forward to confirm it. Investigators quickly began to suspect that Barbara's disappearance was more than a simple missing person case. She had been a police informant. She had received death threats. And she had just fought with a man who, as a former detective, knew exactly how to make someone vanish without leaving evidence. Yet in 1989, without a body or clear signs of foul play, police had little to go on. The trail went cold fast. Years passed. Barbara's family refused to give up, but every lead went nowhere. Then, in 2017, nearly 3 decades later, the case roared back to life. Acting on new information, police obtained a warrant to search a home in Milton, Pennsylvania, a duplex that had once been rented by Egan's sister. Cadaver dogs were brought in, and 8 of them independently alerted to possible human remains. Investigators found clumps of hair and traces that tested positive for the presence of blood on the basement stairs. Beneath a large concrete slab, they believed Barbara's remains might be buried. The discovery raised the horrifying possibility that Barbara Miller, the woman who knew too much, had been hidden for decades beneath an ordinary family home. But despite excavations and forensic testing, no human remains were conclusively identified. If Barbara had been there once, time, moisture, and reconstruction may have erased the proof. The search reopened deep wounds for those who loved her, and renewed suspicion around Joseph Egan. Barbara had feared him. She had reportedly planned to leave him, and she was gathering documents that might have exposed misconduct. Then in 2018, an anonymous letter arrived at the Sunbury Police Department. The writer claimed Barbara's disappearance was linked to a 1986 murder and a network of local drug activity, a connection investigators have never publicly confirmed but continue to pursue. Over the years, police have searched abandoned mines, ponds, and rural fields. They've collected DNA from Barbara's surviving relatives, hoping that one day, a match will surface. The case remains active, though officially unsolved. There are 3 leading theories. The first, retaliation, that Barbara was silenced for her cooperation with police, targeted by those whose secrets she was helping expose. The second, domestic violence, that the man she feared most, her boyfriend, ended her life after their argument and used his knowledge as a former officer to cover his tracks. And the third, concealment. That Barbara's body was hidden within the walls or beneath the concrete of the Milton home, left undisturbed for nearly 30 years. Barbara's son grew up without answers. Her friends, now older, still hold on to hope that justice will come. And investigators continue to test new forensic methods, determined that someday the truth will be known. Did Barbara Miller uncover something that cost her life? Was her death the result of corruption, betrayal, or rage? Somewhere, someone still knows. This is Decades in the Dark, where science brings the past to light. Subscribe for more stories where justice never expires.